Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
Go, go, go. We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. All right, here we are. Welcome back to the Operator Podcast. I have an actual operator on as a guest today. Very, very interesting story that I'm not going to ruin for him. But grew up a badass, recon Marine, Iraq, Afghanistan. You've seen him on TV. Rudy Reyes is with me today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, brother. Thanks for having me on, Rob.
Certainly. I'm very excited that just like I always tell people that I'm not a tough guy. I just worked with guys who were. I think you're a tough guy, and I know. And you see, the only thing is you're very humble too. So you don't like saying that, but like so I found it. Just from growing up, you learned to fight to protect your brothers, right? Can you tell me about that?
That's right. You know what, brother? I was just thinking about. I think about how to help kids and how to help maybe kids that maybe grown up in grown-up bodies, but they're still kids inside because they don't have some of the confidence and some of the mentorship and some of the flat-ass rules that our generation had. So that we could define our character and define ourselves and know what's right, know what's wrong, and pursue truth and goodness. I was thinking about that a couple of days ago. I was training hard. And every time I train really hard, it puts me into a space mentally and spiritually. Like I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I thought, well, Rudy Reyes, when did you become the warrior, Rudy Reyes? Or when did you become brave, really? Brave, right?
Yeah.
And I had a tough childhood for an American. Now, brother, you've been all over the world, and especially in the Middle East and Northeast Africa, and of course, you know, I've spent a lot of time in China until just recently too. There's tougher places than the hood in the United States of America.
Yeah, I used to say to people here, you wouldn't believe me if I told you what Afghanistan was like as far as poverty, unless you see it. You'd think I was lying to you. When I say true poverty is the kid that has no clothes and he's standing in a cesspool. That kid's poor.
That's right, brother. So for an American, I had it pretty tough. And by nature, I'm a gentle person. Or no, by nature, I love animals. I love birds and fish and dogs. I got a dog. I got a big German Shepherd right now that I cannot help but just pet and hug and squeeze all the time and want him to kiss me. And he only kisses me when I give him some treats because I'm just all over him like a cheap suit. And then my spirit animal is a little cat. My little cat, her name's Pants, and she's very finicky. She doesn't spend any time with anybody but me. We've just got this spiritual and emotional connection. And that's the person I am. And I had 2 little brothers, and we're only a year apart each. I just had this innate drive to protect, and probably because I was getting beat down and hurt and abused really bad myself, and I knew that that's what's coming for them. I had been moved around. My brothers and I sometimes even split up between family members, and then friends, and we were falling through the cracks. By the time I was in 6th grade, I think I'd been to maybe 5 or 6 different schools, and from one hard hood to an even harder hood, throughout South Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, and And before I went to the boys' home, so the state took us when I was in early junior high, and we had been very sick. I had hepatitis, and my brothers and I had worms and lice, and we were in pretty bad shape. Yeah, we were in pretty bad shape. And these teeth here bridge. I didn't have dental care when I was a kid, and I smashed my head on the concrete and broke my teeth, and so I got this infection, and it got up into my sinuses. So before school, brother, I'd have to I'd take a lighter to a safety pin, and I'd cut open the boils that were inside of my gums. Yeah, to release
How old were
all
you?
that pus. I was probably 11. And
I mean, the state hadn't taken you yet. Where were you living?
this is in Corpus Christi at a family member, a step cousin, a step house. We had no adult supervision. There was no adults there. And my brothers were not well either, but I tried my best to protect them. So I'd cut open my freaking gums and drain all this pus, but I didn't put it together that I smelled garbage everywhere. I just thought it was this horrible hovel that we lived in. We lived in in a shanty with caliche, gravel everywhere. And man, my self-esteem was freaking taking a hit, but I still worked out every day, brother. I went across the street to the park and did pull-ups and push-ups, and I did the best I could to build self-esteem, because I'm really heavy into comic books. And I believed in the X-Men. I believed in Spider-Man. I believed in Daredevil and discipline. I can be something better. And I went to school. I was always bullied really bad. I had no older brothers, no dad around, nobody. And I had these shoes that were 2 sizes too big, given to me by a step cousin, and clothes that were like a couple years old, and it was rough, brother. This is, I think, around the time early 80s, when materialism became really kind of big in our modern culture, in which you had to have the brands. You had to have the Nike. I of course had none of that stuff. And I was made fun of all the time because I looked so shabby. But we got to run the mile. And so we had the tall football players. We had the track people, and they're already like gangsters. I mean, everybody's thugs there where I'm at, talking nasty stuff about women and partying and drinking and drugs. And this is already the ambient temperature of culture that I'm in. And we get to run the mile. And so when the gym teacher freaking blows that whistle, I just vow to myself, I will stay behind the fastest guy there. I'll just stay behind him. I'll stay behind that guy. And we push and we push. Now we're 3 laps in. We're going into the 4th lap. And I can see everyone's faded except the strongest tall football player that's already hit puberty and strong. And he's fading too. And I just have the desire to freaking dominate and destroy this race. And no one's going to freaking take it from me. No one's going to take it from me, brother. And I run and I freaking pass this cat. I freaking smoke everybody. Come across the line. My face, I guess, is blue. My gym teacher thinks I'm going to die. My lips are blue. I'm blue. I don't care because I won. And everyone, and nobody cheered. Everyone was like, I'll go ahead and curse. They're like, fuck that guy, that piece of shit. You know what I mean? So I get back into the locker room, and all of my schoolwork and my clothes are thrown in the toilet and have shit and piss all over them. Right. A real thug environment that I'm in, inner city. Right. And that made me even happier. Just
because you got in their heads or what?
Yeah. They're so fucking fired up. They're so upset that I whooped their ass. That they've got to try, they got to shit and piss all over everything, but they can't piss on me, man. Not in here. So I went to the principal's office. I had to get some, what do you call them? Lost and found clothes, some like stupid purple freaking sweatshirt and these high water pants. And I have to walk home, and people are still talking shit, but brother, I took that victory with me. And I think that's when I learned to love competition. I loved competition, even though it's scary, even though it's hard, even though you often lose. It was like a noble truth hit me there. If I compete, if I find ways to compete in life, I can be a winner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and then you prove to yourself that you can convince your body to do things through your mind, and that's running is that. Running is putting out. That's
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think we look way back. I think that was the first kernel that got when I went to the boys' home. By the way, I got new teeth. I got medicine. I got food. I start wrestling. I got a freaking weight pile. Yeah. And I just immersed myself in it. The dean of boys was this is the Omaha Home for Boys, a Christian home. He was a orphan as well, and he was the wrestling coach, and we just bonded and
good.
And I never looked back, brother. I never looked back from then. And when I think about when I became a Marine and then when I had a chance to try out for recon, and I went to recon, and it was so hard, Rob. It was so hard because I was so out of my depth. I was a junior boot infantry Marine. I had cats that were rangers and scout snipers and drill instructors that were on the course with me, and again, it was almost a part two or a continuing of the story of when I was on that foot race. Nobody believed I belonged there. Nobody said I was a non-rate. I was a lance corporal. I didn't belong there. There had been Marines there that had been in the Marine Corps for 8 years, and I was competing against officers as well. And we started with 80 cats, 90 cats the first day. And I had no friends, really, no friends. That whole freaking ARS, Amphibious Reconnaissance School out there in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
And I just put out, and I was the best runner, and I was the strongest, but I didn't really know how to swim. I was a second class swimmer, and we're doing run, swim, runs. And the first time they put on fins on me, dog, I shit you not. I swear I was going backwards. I swear I know I was putting out harder than anybody and going backwards. I didn't know what I was doing, but I never gave up, brother. I never gave up. Now
swimming is technique. You can't just gut out. I mean, you can gut out a swim, but there's going to be guys that'll just kick your ass because they've been playing water polo in college and shit like that. So I read into
totally. Did you deal with that as well? I mean, you're from Montana,
I didn't know
I imagine.
I joined I don't know how to swim. I didn't know what a SEAL was. So I just I learned. I mean, they were good to me. I was able to make friends, and they put me with a surfer that was a good swimmer. So like, just stay next to him. He'll guide, do everything else. All you got to do is fin. But yeah, it's awesome. The swimming's it's an awakening. You get good at it.
It is. You do. Eventually I was, CWSS, combat diver, a drive up to San Francisco just to swim from Alcatraz on the weekend. I mean, dog.
Swim out in Alcatraz?
Yeah. To the Bay City Bridge. I know it's freezing, but we're hard. We're young. We can do anything. And I turned it into a strength. So I'm a swimmer now too. And I love it. And all those brothers, all those naysayers in those early days, they all love me so much now, Rob. It's so beautiful. I am so loved and buoyed by the recon community and now the veteran community and all the special operations community. You all, you give me so much freaking positivity and light and so much support. And it's an honor that I represent all of us now. We got this big show on Fox, and
I want to hear about
I'm out
that.
there. Yeah, brother. We're with SAS and SBS and a fellow Frogman brother. And your boys up there front and center, representing the country and representing our ideals. Yes, brother. I was enthralled with competing and martial art and toughness because I knew that was the standard of a man. Of course, we don't know how deep that warrior ethos goes, especially when we transcend into taking lives and killing and seeing our own brothers being killed. There's a light year of distance from being a competitive combat sport athlete and then being a warrior like we were like warriors have been for the last 20, 30, 50,000 years, you know. And that was sobering. It was challenging. I'm a scout sniper. And remember, I joined in the 90s, so we hadn't been to war yet. I joined to go fight in Kosovo because I saw a documentary of children that were orphans there. And I wanted to go.
They were getting killed by their own snipers.
That's right. That's right. And we were idealistic. We were young and we wanted to do our best. And I was very, very humbled and gracious to be given a chance to try out and make it and then be a team leader and go to schools and go to SEER and freaking, brother, dog, do you know at my SEER school, do you know how freaking genius this is? This is for your audience out there, brothers. Just believe in yourself and love yourself, man, and give your best. And you'll be surprised how wild stuff works out for you. So when they were interrogating me, they say, hey, you've been in this concrete box. Why don't you stretch out? And, your hands, you've been bound, and they want to see you do like this and such. Yeah. So that they can then overlay how many innocent children you've killed and stuff like that. So when they ask me, I start doing Tai Chi. I start stretching like this on the debrief. The week later, they're like, hey, Corporal Reyes, this was absolute genius. I really like it. I'm like,
I don't know what I was doing. That's I heard an interview you give, and I went through SEER school also, and you mentioned the hardest part is just being alone. Alone. Yeah. But then you hear your buddies doing some shit. Yeah. And eventually, I mean, it didn't take long to figure out a language and how to make jokes to each other. It's crazy.
Totally.
And then they're playing that music and it's at a different language, but then you start making up your own words to it. Like you can fucking nuts. But I
think we were so physically and mentally robust by then because, I went with a couple of frogs and some recon guys and a lot of air crew and pilots. The operators, we were just so much more robust. The mental torture was not as nearly as hard on us. The pilots and air crew, they were getting the shit kicked out of them. We were just, all right, on to the next one. Let's find a way to fight. Let's get our freaking tap codes going. Let's get it together. You know what I mean? Let's escape. It was incredible, bro. It was beautiful, beautiful experiences, man.
That was, I could hear they had us standing the whole time because the boxes are so small.
Yeah.
And and they look like lockers in high school. Mm-hmm. And I would hear my buddy slide down to sit, and all of a sudden my door would fly open and they'd throw water on me. And I'm standing, but they're punishing their friends now. And then I'm like, what? And then the other guy slides down. They open it, hit me with water again. And I'm a wet. I'm like, fuck it, I'm sitting. I sit down. They open. You shouldn't be sitting. Which one of your buddies should we hit with water? And I said, fucking both of them.
Yeah. You know what? It's so interesting. You learn, there's so many things that you learn there. You learn shared suffering and how to mitigate as much as possible so that you can exploit one critical vulnerability to either get in their heads or to escape. And it was just incredible, brother. It was just incredible. My instructors pushed me to the edge. I wanted to kill them all by the end. Yeah. And then when we finally did the debrief, and they were just wonderful fucking sailors and Marines that were really trying to give us all a leg up and train us the best.
Train you. That's exactly right. Yeah, they were really good at the good cop, bad cop too. The different interrogations. Because you got the guy that beat your ass, and you got the guy that's kind of nice, and you sort of want to see him again, and then that's how you tell him shit. And I learned a lot about the way they set it up for us. I learned how much shit you actually have on you that's incriminating. Like they purposely gave us courses about the CIA, so we would write down the chief of station, chief of base, and have all these notes because we think we're in a class or something, and then we get rolled up by real police, not even sure if we're really what the shit, and then we're in a box like, well, I guess this is SEER school now. And I got shit about the CIA in my pockets,
brother. And you know what, brother, I was always out there thinking, recon for me, especially before combat, was like the ultimate violent, athletic art project. right? I mean, like it was an art project, brother. I was the guy that was always spending extra time figuring out his gear and always making sure he was burning the ends on his 550, and always thinking about how to make a better support on my ass pack for my rifle and things like that. Yeah, the stuff that we're always trying to improve our position. So I smuggled in little pieces of paper and charcoal in my boots so I could write notes, and it was really, really magnificent, brother. It taught me also, it reminded me, remember the first rule on patrol is that you must assume you're under observation. Well, eventually, after a few days in the lab, they get us together, and I have a little bit of time to plan and talk to some of my other operator brothers about how we're going to make our escape. And fuck, they had a hidden camera, brother, and they fucking busted me and fucked me up so bad. And then these other little, strangely, on my camis, because I had this dental work, they had this this red tag. It was like a dog tag or something. I think it was a red dog tag. And the first thing they did when they interned me is like, oh, you Spetsnaz. Oh, you special, and they start working my ass. And then they start slapping they start pimp slapping me so freaking hard, brother. I want to freaking kill these cats.
Yeah, I want to fight back.
Yeah, I end up fighting back because I do, kung fu and sanshou. I freaking trip one with my hands behind my back, trip one, shoulder check another. But so I dropped 2 instructors. They grab my ass, a few more, put me down on the deck. I got some freaking AKs on my neck. I hold my head up. And they bring out the smallest, weakest aircrew cat, an Asian American cat. And they start beating the shit out of him in front of me. And
in front of you, that's going to get just the way your heart works, man. That's going to kill you.
Yeah, brother. And I had to learn to fight smart. And I find out what that dog tag was later on the debrief is because they didn't want to bust up these teeth that they already had to fix. So they only hit me on the sides of the head, not in the mouth.
That sucks. That still sucks.
Yeah, brother. Anyway,
what was it?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're on a roll here. This is brilliant.
It was just, going, trying out for school after school, and then going to schools and getting your dual cool, your jump and dive and sniper and competing. Because you remember, maybe a lot of the audience doesn't know now, but before the global war on terror, before Marine Corps was in Mars or was in JSOC, first of all, I don't complain at all. We had way more money than anybody else in the whole Marine Corps. We had everything I could ever imagine, but compared to the budgets of the other SOCOM units, it was very small. So we didn't have a pipeline, Rob.
I'd heard that's the Marine Corps' own fault, though, because they of course they didn't want to admit they had a special group of Marines so they could get into JSOC. They said every Marine's a sniper. It's like, all right, you keep saying then, keep firing an M16A2, but you can get over here if you want. We know you got the guys. And I've seen some of the shit they do now. Some of the training, like the pool drills. My God, like they're doing like 100-meter underwater swims with logs and shits and whatever.
Yeah,
bricks.
And
they're insane.
You know what, brother? It's a double-edged sword. I'm glad I came up the way I did, and then I went to go do the work that I did and create the bedrock for MARSOC and all of this.
Yep.
And I there's no operation I do not have a mystique of what I've missed since I left the Marine Corps. I got to do everything and more than I could ever imagine. But everything was so intimate and personal with the training to even prepare you to go to these courses, because you had to be number one. And it was damn near like the NFL draft in the freaking with the OPSO and everybody. Hey, which of these cats are we going to spend the money on?
Yeah,
to get them there.
Yeah.
And I was just blessed to have great platoon commanders, great teammates, great everybody. It was I love it so much, brother. I love the opportunity I had to be somebody, to really be somebody in a way that matters. What we're missing now, it seems, in our culture, in our ambient American culture, is rites of passage into manhood, self-respect, and respect, period. And we damn sure learned that in the military. We damn sure learned that in the military.
Yeah, definitely. I joined around the same time as you. I went to SEAL Team 2 because of Bosnia, and that was pre 9/11, and that's the only thing going on. So I tried to get the East Coast to SEAL Team 2, which I did, and then get into Bosnia, which I did, Kosovo. After sniper school, and again, I mean, it's so different to do something for real, even though you should train harder than war.
Yeah.
I learned that even after sniper school, pretty much every recon and surveillance you do, you're going to get busted, usually by a goat herder, someone that's just walking around. And like even in Afghanistan, it's like these people have been living in this valley for 10,000 years. They're going to notice. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
but
brother, that compromise and that passive compromise. I worked so hard, and I was in Afghanistan when the towers hit. We went straight in from the ship, us and some SEALs and some CIA cats, and we took Kandahar, and it was ideal because it was only 5 of us in a team doing 70 click movements under the cover of darkness. First time I ever drove a Humvee, and then digging in the vehicle and then patrolling up to the mountain and then utilizing our sniper and CAS assets and such. It was ideal there. But when I went to fight in Iraq, and especially my last one in Fallujah and Ramadi, I am fighting in people's backyards. I'm fighting in their main streets. I'm fighting in their goat fields. And to defeat that much, so much observation, even passive observation, we had to be very, very disciplined, and we utilized canals. And I stayed in those canals for days at a time, and still had to be very circumspect with my movement to get into position, and things could change on a dime. And oh, brother, it was so dangerous. I look back now at what I was doing out there, and I would probably nowadays like ask some more questions.
Yep. I feel the exact same way. One of my sayings is, after 9/11, I would have invaded Canada if they wanted us to. And it's just like, I'm definitely going to Iraq. I'm definitely going here. And I would ask a lot more questions. Is this really the smartest way to be doing this? What kind of, what were your standard, like Fallujah? What was your standard mission as a sniper?
We would overt patrol during the day, presence, melt down at night. The gun trucks take off. Then I move into a cutoff position or a sniper position. Of course, I always brought rockets too. Yep. And then when I could, I coordinated with our CAT teams because they had the FLIR on their tow missiles, and I could put them a click away, and their freaking their optics are so fantastic. And then that could turn into a cutoff team and direct action, a helicopter insertion down on route mobile to engage a father and son team that were putting up spike strips and IEDs for Army convoys. Then we got chopped away to ODA, and I grew my hair out to be a civilian contract worker because of us Latinos. I could pass as a Turk that worked in the laundry, and I would go into a cab to be kidnapped and killed off of base, except we had the cab bulletproofed, and I had another Latino brother driving, a Basque, actually, Gare Gordable, and we'd have our other recon brothers fully jocked up in tractor trailers, and we would draw out the insurgents, who were at that time all police.
Oh, no shit, huh?
So we would go close quarters within a few feet, sometimes being even engaged on the road, and have to work them right there. And then with 3 minutes, do some SSE. And then whoever they were talking to on their phones, we would then do direct action late at night. It could be anything, brother. It was so kinetic. Do you remember those days? It was just so kinetic. There was so much war going on.
It was everywhere.
Enough of us. Yeah, it was all day, all night, every day, all night. Those 7 months flew by. I forget some of the things I've done until I run into one of my old boys, and they mention, "Oh, Rudy, you remember when you freaking climb that bridge with your explosives and freaking set up that bridge for explosives?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And I mean, there's just so much. It was of that time, as you remember. It was of that time.
Now, did I hear you correctly? You would set yourself up as bait? Like,
yes.
You're going to go out. So you're talking out in town and waiting for Al-Qaeda in Iraq to come try to get you.
That's right.
That's got to be peak excitement, but scary as shit. Because
it was. Looking back, I'd be scared as shit to do it now. Back then, brother, we're just so hardcore, and we're ready to go. And we're not. We mitigate the risks, but we're not risk averse by any means. And we'd wear a dish dash, whatever, and some low pro body armor. And we thought we were mitigating as many risks as possible. I had cutoff teams. We, the back seat, we had cut out so that my machine gunner, my saw gunner with a little parasol could hide in the trunk and just roll out and start shooting through the fucking through the windows right there. And it was called Operation Trojan Horse. It was very, very successful.
Yeah,
we just did whatever.
That's some excellent. You know what that is, though, man. I'm serious. That's excellent leadership coming up with that, because that's outside the box thinking, man. That's you're going out in town, and I mean, even you said presence patrol. That's not risk averse. A bullet can be right one time, and that's it. I mean, that's
absolutely
that's hanging it out there, like legit fighting.
It is. And you know what, brother? I work one of my dearest brothers on the show, Billy Billingham, SAS, freaking command sergeant major, Paras 10 years. And then 22 years SAS. He goes, mate, we had the strategic level, mate. You're a straight up cunting warfighter. I said, yeah, I guess so. We're just warfighters.
That's funny.
It was just, it was just really powerful stuff. It was transformative stuff. We also, I made liaison with some special families there too, and got information and intelligence and developed targets and really tried to help the people. Really, really just gave it my best, brother. Gave it my best, gave it my all,
You have to have the locals on your side. And that's something else. I know that being older, before I didn't give a shit about cultural sensitivity, whose house I go into, who I fuck up. But the realization that most of these people are not combatants and they really don't like dealing with either one of us being the US and the allies or Al-Qaeda, but they're stuck. But if you can find some good people, and I found some of the most welcoming people I've ever met in Iraq, like wrong house. And like, I'm sorry. And I guess I understand why you hate us. Like, just because going there, we're looking like a damn stormtrooper getting mud all over the place. You're not even in the right building. So I've mentioned Moink before. It's very important to get quality food. Sometimes you don't know what you're getting in the supermarket, or you can even get it. Moink, I seriously love it. I've actually sent a couple different boxes up to my family in Montana, and we all rave about the bacon. The sausage is insane. The meat's great. Like salt and pepper, fry it up. It's delicious. Moink's a meat subscription box on a mission to fight for the family farm. They're located in rural America, run by an 8th-generation female farmer. Their animals are raised humanely. Their employees are paid a living wage. And the quality of their product, like I was just saying, is better than anywhere. I get it myself. I send it to my family. The bacon. Moink delivers grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pasteurized pork and chicken, and sustainable wild-caught Alaskan salmon right to your door. It's delightful. Unlike the supermarket, Moink gives you the total control over the quality and the source of your food. You choose the meat to be delivered in every box. So we're talking ribeyes, chicken breast, pork chops, salmon fillets, much more. You can cancel at any time. I love Moink. You're going to dig it if you check it out. And you can keep American farming going by signing up at moinkbox.com/theoperator right now. And listeners of this show will get a free filet mignon with every order for a full year. That's 1 year of the best filet mignon you'll ever taste, but it's for a limited time. Spelled MOINK box.com/theoperator. That's moinkbox.com/theoperator. Get you some of that bacon. So here's another one for you. It's very important to diversify the way you invest, especially with what's going on with the dollar and inflation. Masterworks has paid out over $32 million to date to people just like you. Yep, even when the government shut down during COVID, Masterworks paid out their users. Even when they pumped so much money into the system, like I said, inflation is going to stick around for years, Masterworks paid out their users. Even when everything from stocks to real estate lost Americans hard-earned money. Masterworks paid out over $28 million last year alone. $28 million just last year, because every Masterworks exit to date has returned over 9% net. And that's over the course of multiple years through huge economic events. And I think it's genius what they're doing. Invest in art, and they're turning over a profit. I'm impressed. I think you'll be impressed. Check out Masterworks. They have over 650,000 users, and there's usually a waiting list, but you can skip all that at masterworks.art/operator. Again, that's masterworks.art/operator. You get priority access. Check this out for investing. It's going to be good for you. So the first thing you do when you start to heat up is take off your cover. It's getting a little warm in the studio here. Plus, I got to check on my hair plugs. You know what I mean? We've mentioned before in episodes that PTSD is real. You don't need to be a combat vet to have a few issues and maybe need to talk to someone. So this podcast today is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's a way to talk to someone online. Sometimes you can learn and grow when you talk to someone. And I always tell people, if you're having any kind of a day, it's good to call someone. This is completely online, and you can join 3.8 million people who have already done it. You get online. All therapists there are licensed, accredited professionals. BetterHelp allows you to connect with them in a safe and convenient online environment. Just pay a low flat fee for unlimited therapy from a therapist. Unlimited, and therapy does not have to be expensive. You can do it at your own pace, on your own time. Communicate with a therapist as often as you want, and you can switch therapists if needed. Thousands of people have benefited from therapy. Check out BetterHelp online. Look at some of the reviews. If you're thinking about starting therapy, which is a good idea to talk to someone, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just go on there, fill out a questionnaire. You'll be matched up with a therapist. And like I said, you can change at any time. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/operator today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/operator. Shooting, moving, and communicating is the key to winning combat, as we all know. However, it's important to look cool. And I've mentioned F1 Firearms before. You got to check them out. They got a new FDR-10, 308 AR style. They got pistols, 5.5 inch, 8.5 inch. They've got awesome finishes. There's more to come. Really light rail systems, custom thumb and finger rests to keep your index in line with the apex of the trigger. F1 Firearms is a lot like me, people pleasers, and that's sometimes a very good thing. You can customize your ass off with F1 Firearms with sick anodized colors, and the grips are lightweight, paracord, skeletonized technology. There's law enforcement, military models, AR-15, AR-10, like I said, the new 308, 9mm. Every receiver is set to fit out of the box. The rails are contoured to the uppers, which means there's no wiggle, which is good. The angle of the safety can be custom, and they're as cool and good looking as you want them to be. You can show them off, and once you pull them out of the box, they are ready for winning. Make sure you check out F1 Firearms.
The local peoples, those that believed in us, brother, and I'm sure, sadly, the truth is they're probably all dead. All the brothers and sisters that believed in us there, that worked with us, that wanted a better Iraq, I'm sure they're all gone after ISIS.
Yeah, they're under ISIS now.
Yeah, brother. Now I do understand this. Is this correct, Rob, that Iraq is actually much more stable now?
It potentially would be, and I think that's because, sadly, because of the Iranian influence. Just because it was majority Shiites. Saddam was a Sunni, and he would the Ba'ath Party was Sunni mainly, and I'd imagine with the Iranian, and that's, I mean, the Iranian influence as far as the mullahs are is bad for the world.
Corrupt. Very corrupt.
I mean, they're recently just attacking our guys. They killed a contractor in Syria, and we still have people there too. I mean, we do need to learn about this, how to properly get out of a place, because we've never done it right. I mean, even the war we won in World War II, it took 2 nuclear weapons. I'd never want to see that again.
Yes.
Little things like a lot of people in Afghanistan don't want to send their kids to school. They want to teach them how to be farmers. Like that's, and that makes sense to them. And Iraq and Afghanistan are not the same place. But
No.
a lot of the military brass treated it like that, where you're going to one or the other. It's like, well, they're two different cultures, 7 different languages.
Absolutely.
Just do
Even
a little
different,
bit of research.
absolutely. Even, how many times have we heard even SOCOM brothers calling everybody Arabs, or whatever?
Yeah.
We need to understand to best liaison and fight, and for force protection as well, cultural uniqueness. And
the locals,
go ahead.
The locals in Afghanistan were telling us that Arabs are actually foreign fighters, just like you guys. Like we're not Arabs, we're Afghans.
Absolutely, yes. Don't insult them, and don't call Kurds Arabs either.
Don't do that.
Kurds and I love those.
I mean,
brothers.
even there was just some of the cultural stuff. There were guys that got killed because they called an Afghani a motherfucker, but they don't understand what we mean by it. Like, hey, motherfucker! I love you, motherfucker.
Yeah, but absolutely.
But
absolutely.
I mean, you're saying he's fucking his mom. He's gonna fucking blast you, and that has happened.
Sure, brother. I know it's the Middle East and our cultures that are predominantly extremist Muslim. They're very different, and for a while, because I was fighting over there, and I saw the bad part and the ugly part of that extremism and the Muslim religion. I definitely had a chip on my shoulder and was bigoted to them. Absolutely. I hated them. I used to have a lot of hate in my heart.
Yeah, me too.
For some damage that they had done to people and my men, and of course their own kids and their own people. And it's so interesting, though, brother, with time and perspective. I was recently in New York. I just shot a new TV show for History Channel. You guys will be seeing it in a few more months. And there's a bodega. We're staying in a really nice hotel in Williamsburg because it's production, so they take care of me well. And the bodega outside of the hotel, just right around the corner there, is run by Yemeni Italians. These 2 brothers, and they're young. They both got a child on the way. And they'd been here in America maybe 7 years working for some other bodega. And they worked so hard and saved every freaking dime to get this new little spot that is immaculately clean.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good Mexican-American brother working the deli that makes anything you want, brother. Freaking Reuben sandwiches with freaking cured turkey and extra Thousand Island, or he'll do breakfast at 2 a.m. And my wife Jade came to visit, to stay with me halfway through the production so we could spend some time. I just got back from Vietnam. I did 2 seasons in Vietnam just 6 months ago. And brother, they're beautiful as well. And so I spent time at this bodega. The place is beautiful. They have everything we can imagine. My coconut waters, everything. They are respectful and kind to me every day. They always talk to me. And yet, when we're walking the streets, the American women that were slovenly and obviously make enough money to live there, because it's very expensive to live in New York City and in Williamsburg. And they had horrible language, and they were talking like freaking PFCs in SOI, and they're 30 years old, and they got expensive clothes, but they're obese and they're nasty. They're just freaking nasty. And seeing that the Americans were being so nasty and in general have lost a culture about family first.
Oh yeah.
About respect to God, about respect and pride in one's work and oneself. Seeing these Yemeni Italians, they're just absolutely beautiful, and they would they would always say inshallah, inshallah, and God was very much in their lives.
Yeah,
I felt more connected to these Muslims than I did these freaking slovenly people walking the streets in New York City. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course I do. That's the whole born on third base thinking you hit a triple. Like you were born here because you won the lottery. This is the greatest country. You have every opportunity to be happy here, and yet people just now are getting entitled and they deserve everything. And it's like you said, even the manhood thing too, that people are happy that they're breaking up the family, and you see what it's doing to the schools. And it's just the family's going away. I mean, I think it's gonna ebb. Hopefully,
I pray.
And like right now, it's little things like it's cool to be a virgin in school. That's good.
That's great.
As opposed
That's freaking great, brother.
As opposed to whoring yourself around like I did.
Oh man, brother, I was so shy. I had so much arrested development from my freaking super hard childhood. I was so shy when it came to girls. And I think that I was delayed in my growth too. I didn't hit my man's growth till 17, but I was already lifting weights my whole life and training. So I was super strong. I wrestled at 98 pounds my freshman year. I was little. No, and then I freaking got taller and strong, but I did not know how to talk to girls or nothing like that. And you know what I'm saying? Like I would just look at their shoes. And I'm glad it worked out that way because trust me, later,
it worked out.
It worked out, brother. Later, when I got into film and television after the Marine Corps with Generation Kill and such, and now I'm thrust into this modern world where there's no limits of just selfishness, adolescent selfishness, and I felt completely lost, brother. And no wonder I got so hard into drugs. I got into drugs really, really hard, brother. I'd never even had alcohol to drink in the Marine Corps, brother, because I was competing. I was trying to compete against, I tried to be the best at everything. On the weekends, I just trained, and I was in, San Diego. I'd go to Nitro, the triathlon store, and I would compete in triathlon. We were doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu and working out. I was always trying, because, just like yourself in the teams, you always got a junior Olympian swimmer or a junior Olympian freaking track star or a collegiate wrestler. So it's hard. It's almost impossible to be the best at everything. So I was always pushing myself to try to be the best at everything I could do. And, so I never partied. I never did anything. So when I started to drink, because I couldn't sleep, I didn't realize what was going on with me. I don't know if you had these struggles, whether maybe you did, but after the op tempo in my life slowed down, I had to continue that op tempo with constant work. I was a workaholic. 7 days a week, and I still couldn't sleep, no matter how much I exhausted myself. And so I started to drink, but my metabolism was so high. If I didn't get drunk enough, fast enough, at midnight or 1 a.m, I'd be awake again.
Oh no!
And then when I got into doing the film, doing Generation Kill, it was so interesting. I had this like tearful revelation that somehow my experience matters, at least in this picture, because I'll tell you what, dog, when I came back to America after running and gunning in freaking Fallujah and Ramadi, nobody gave a damn. Like nobody gave a damn about anything. And I was living in Southern California, one of the most vacuous places in the world. Nobody gave a damn. And so now I'm in Africa, Namibia, South Africa, Mozambique, filming Generation Kill, the story about my team.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching, training every day. I'm training actors, the stunt people. People are there to get it right. And I thought, wow, it matters. It matters.
That's a good feeling. That's good. Because there is some emptiness getting out of that environment.
Yeah. I don't know. What did you go through, brother? Let me tell you a little story though. When I first met you, real quick.
Yes.
You came to our Force Blue, very first Force Blue fundraiser. And I don't know who invited you. Somebody invited you, and you're very humble. You had a ball cap on and a jacket, but a ball cap. And I was there with my recon idol and pararescueman idol, Roger Sparks, who's 9 foot tall, and a lot of other SEALs and some recon brothers of mine. And I went over to talk to you. And by the way, I don't know if you knew this. all the old SEALs that were part of my organization, older cats, they were hating on you, dog. They were hating on you so bad. And there was politics happening at something that we're trying to create so that we all can grow.
Right.
And I went over there and I kind of sheepishly was like, hey, brother, thanks so much for being here, man. It means a lot that you're here. And that's the kind of guy you are, brother. So how did you go through that?
Yeah.
That strange place.
The hate's a funny thing too. I've heard that people hate me and I'm like, well, I haven't thought about him in 10 years. That's crazy that I'm occupying that much space in his head. Cause I try to do everything like you're doing. I wanted to be the best at everything. I rogered up for everything. I went to every school. Yeah. And, I just happened to turn into a room and shoot a famous guy. It's like they said with the Bin Laden raid, all we did is if the guy went left, I went right. And we just did that over and over and over. And that's, that's all it wasn't, I did one more deployment, but when I got out, I got into, I find myself getting into good positions. I was lucky enough to be introduced to a speaking agency called Leading Authorities out of DC. And the way you get into the speaking agency, obviously you have to have a story to tell, be able to talk, but you don't really market it. You have to have someone hear you. And they say, oh, I want to hire him for an event now. And so like I started in, I think November of 2012. And I had like 3 and then 5 in December, then 10 in January, then 20 in February. And so I basically, some of my most famous incidents are for getting kicked off of airplanes. If you get on enough of them, you're going to screw it up once or twice.
Yeah, brother. Brother.
It's tough. I try to stay in touch with a lot of people. Talking to a lot of vets helps because PTSD is real, whether people want to admit it or not. And I just, it's the little things like I'll randomly think of a vet and call them just to let them know I'm thinking about them. And maybe that'll cheer me up. Maybe that'll cheer him up. Yeah. And the further, I think time heals everything. That like
it does.
Because like veterans have a tendency to like to see other veterans fail, but I hope that goes away. Like I can't even get on Reddit because that's like the meanest place on the planet.
Oh, but, brother, you're so right about that. There's some unique things happening in this modern veteran, specifically the veterans that are in the public eye space. Mm-hmm. There is some really good men and women out there that are doing it well. I'm very close with Tulsi Gabbard.
She's awesome.
I respect her and love her very much. And she's a class act and hyper intelligent, and her character is correct.
And everything about her tone, her mentality, the way she talks and thinks is all. And like you're saying, I mean, I haven't met her in person. I've talked to her a couple times, but you're not going to find a better one than her.
Magnificent. There's a brother named Joe Kent who's absolutely magnificent. There's some really wonderful people, and then there's some. It's strange. I think there's some sellouts too, and it's interesting. At first, the sellouts used to kind of make me angry because of what we went through and what we sacrificed. All of us sacrificed, especially us heavy hitters, us freaking door kickers. What we sacrificed with our families, what we sacrificed with our mental health, what we sacrificed with like how much nihilism that we had to overcome with what we embraced, because that's what we needed to embrace to do what we do. And then it made me angry that this sacred thing was being played out. And now over time, getting older, any brother or sister out there, if that's what they're doing right now, that keeps them from freaking putting a bullet in their head.
That's exactly right.
Or keeps them out of prison, keeps them from beating their wife or kids.
Yep.
I'm for any brother or sister out there that wore their uniform to do everything they can to make it in any way they can, so that they eventually will heal. So you're right.
That's a great
time
attitude.
heals, brother. Yeah,
it
brother.
Does. Oh, I had just gotten out of the Navy, and that's a tough one to deal with too. I mean, especially the Bin Laden raid. That's a lot.
Oh,
to deal
brother,
with.
and much respect and love to you. You're very humble about it, my man. I know that a lot of your followers and the people that listen to the cast know that being at Dev, I got some brothers, some dear brothers of mine, Ollie, that was at Dev, and Jeff Nichols, dear brother of mine.
Yeah,
I love Jeff, dear brother of mine.
Guys.
Yeah, dear brother of mine. To be there is not only being a frogman and a SEAL, but to be so hyper competitive and driven to commit more, to commit everything, to be there. And that's you, brother. That's why you're doing so well, brother. You know,
I used to say that I would look forward to getting up in the morning to go into work at SEAL Team 6 because that's a day I get to work with people who are better than me, and it was the truth. And like everyone's so good, it's like, what are you doing for lunch so I can learn how to be faster at the O course or whatever. But like looking at the gear guys that really know the gear, like, hey, can you help me with this and this, all that good stuff, and then but you know, I when I got out, I was still, you know, just dealing with just getting out, and I'm worried people thinking me. I got a call from Marcus Luttrell, and he said, "I'm just telling you from experience, the Navy is not paying you anymore, and you're going to have to figure out a way to keep the lights on." So like,
true.
You're going to get some hate. Everyone gets hate. I think it's stupid.
Me too. Me too, brother.
How can they hate you, Rudy?
Well, you know what? I think it's
you're the most likable guy I know.
Thank you, brother. I love you, brother. I love you, brother. And you know what? There was a misnomer, even when I was a young recon Marine, that I achieved my success because of physical talent. Physical talent. Like somehow God gave me physical talent to overarch the real freaking dark times you'd spend with yourself about asking the question, do I have what it takes? Because this has taken everything I fucking got. My feet are destroyed.
Yeah.
My hip. I took a really bad parachute landing fall. I can say nothing about it. And I broke the other foot because I got to stay in the platoon. I'm not going to leave the platoon. And my positive mental attitude, they imagine things just went well for me because of a positive mental attitude. And I'm good with people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you have a positive attitude, but there's a lot of work in there.
There's so much work and there's so much passion it takes to be in the front. And now that I've been doing TV and some media stuff, then it must be looks, you know? And I'm like, shit, you know, I didn't even know I was freaking handsome. I didn't even know I was handsome till I was like 19 or 20 years old, and I was still bashful. And you know what I'm saying? And you know, I got these fake grill. I mean, these aren't even my real teeth.
I think the best line in Generation Kill is, you don't have to be gay to think Rudy's attractive. That's so awesome.
And like, you know, we were on ship before September 11th, you know, and that's when we went into fight, and we'd been on ship for maybe a month and a half or something like that. And the joke in the freaking little berthing, first of all, you know, the brothers and sisters have never been on ship. That you are living, I mean, you're a freaking, you know, you're living at the Ritz-Carlton if you got your own berthing, and your berthing area is about the size of this office right here with 20 dudes. But at least you got your own berthing. You're not GP and everything. And then my boys would be like, brother, it's been a while since we haven't hit port yet. You know, it's not gay if you're underway. Your skin is so soft. They would always mess with me. Some of it's those speaking Latin genes, I guess, brother. You know, I don't know.
That's too funny. I've been on those ships with you got all your guys in there, one metal fucking table and a TV that's tied to the wall.
That's it. That's it. With
it's yours.
The 4 stools that are cemented in there as well, and everybody around. And you got the VHS or DVD. You know what I mean? You're watching Predator. You're watching Predator for the freaking 300th time. Yeah.
and ship steel is hard. I don't care which part of your body you hit on it. You will hit something. That is hard. It doesn't. There's no give. Even your bed's metal.
Yeah, brother. You know what though? Builds character, and eventually, when you have certain niceties, like even in the field, when we're finally prosecuting and we're fighting, shit, when we get a chance to make our hot cup of coffee, and we put our cocoa powder in there and we share it between the team, or somebody's got some dip, you know what I mean? A little bit of fucking real Copenhagen, and you're like, wow, this is the best day of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying too. And I'll tell people that now, young people, no matter where you are, you're going to get used to it. It's going to be okay. Some places are obviously better than others, but I can remember living in a hole near the border of Pakistan and like rolling over and seeing a little pile of pythons. Like, well, we'll just move to that one. That was probably nicer.
Oh,
but it's not bad because, I got a sleeping bag. It's warm, whatever.
Totally.
Got the dip, and if I don't have dip, there's going to be coffee in the MRE. I'll use that as dip, whatever.
That's right. That's right.
Things.
What about like the little things like we would cut up our ISO mat and make it slender and fold it up to go between our ruck frame and our ruck, so that it always had that little piece of freaking foam that we could just lay out as we're leaned up against the ruck in the harbor site, throw the poncho over, and then you've got a piece of freaking ISO mat under your ass.
Yeah.
You'd be so surprised how that changes your whole day.
It
just
does,
a little bit.
If you can keep the ground from sucking the heat out of you somehow, even if you're standing there, little things. Seriously, that's like, I used to enjoy that.
Yeah.
I have trouble getting out of bed sometimes.
Oh, I know, brother. That's just our age. That's just, you know what I mean? What is it? We've written a lot of checks on this body.
That's
we've written
true.
a lot of checks.
I think that parachute opening a few times, again, you're going to have a hard landing once or twice where just got to suck it up. Like I used to have fluid constantly drained out of my knees because I smacked so hard. Nothing worse than doing a downwind landing at night. It's just bam.
Yes, brother. I had some really high winds and I missed the DZ and I hit the hardball road.
Oh no!
And
was that a static land jump?
Yeah, static.
That's hardcore. You're not having a soft landing.
No,
ever.
brother. Oh, that was
I used to volunteer for those too. Like why? Why? I mean, either I want to get my 10 jump so I get my pin, or a combat jump. Why do I keep you can only you can throw a load out of a car. You need to keep practicing this.
I know, so true, brother. Feet and knees together, airborne. Feet and knees together,
and when
baby.
When it's dark, just look at the horizon. You're gonna hit. I'll tell you what though, and I was because I went through jump school at Fort Benning.
Yep, me too.
And they teach you how to fall so much. And I was getting frustrated. Like, how hard can this be? And it's like, you want to know that technique. You need that muscle memory of the feet, knees, ass.
That's right,
feet, knees, face, or whatever.
That's right, brother. Oh, brother. And then we finally get to go to the MC5 transition or freaking Halo. It's a whole nother world. It's fantastic. So what do? Oh, just bring more kit. So now it's going to be easier. So let's just load you up with.
Let's
more.
load it up.
So
I got a bigger.
Easier.
I got a bigger ruck. I'll just put more shit in it. How about that?
That's right. It just never gets easier, brother. It never gets easier.
Wow. This is a hell of a story so far, huh? I am going to give everyone a chance to absorb this incredible story. What a great adventure. Rudy's just incredible. So we will conclude right here. This will be part 1. I will come at you in a few days with part 2. And we'll see where this adventure goes. It's absolutely outstanding. Just a great several shining examples of how you're never out of the fight.